So there's a couple of references to Southern Ireland here on this headstone. You can see then Henry Harris. He was born on the 14th of May, same birthday as my daughter, 1857, and he died 19th October 1880. And he's interred at Balmoral in County Cork, so you couldn't get much further down south than from Belfast than there. And then also you can see there's a reference to Irishtown, which has escaped me. Oh yes, so here Jane Blood of Irishtown, Dublin. So she was living at Joy Street here in Belfast when she died, aged 69, on the 2nd of January 1866. But also, just to give you some idea of the international nature of this cemetery, you can see there's a reference to Duketown, an old Calabar on the west coast of Africa, and then also here Kenora in Ontario in Canada. So you have two references to Southern Ireland and a reference to Africa and the main country in North America.
And that's a very unusual surname, Blood. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody called Blood.
Well, the most prominent one would be a lady called, who died relatively recently, Mayblood. She was Baroness Mayblood. So yeah, but you're right, it is unusual, but not unusual, but not, you know. Well, sure, right. Hillary Clinton, who's now she holds a senior position at Queen's, isn't a chancellor, but it's largely a ceremonial role. So the next one's over here. Again, just watch your footing, please. This man here, the Reverend John Edgar, you can see he doesn't appear to be a bundle of laughs. You wouldn't have gone out with him for a drink of an evening. And that's because he was the founder, not that there's anything wrong with being a temperance, by the way. He was the founder of the Temperance Reformation there. And he died in 1866, aged 68 years. But in 1834, the Synod of Ulster dealt with the issue of how the church might instruct Irish speakers, and Irish speaking schools were established in Tyrone, Galway, Mayo and the Glens of Antrim. By 1840, schools had been established at Ballymott, I think it's County Sligo, Galway, Killala, County Mayo, Sligo Town, Turlough, which I think is in County Mayo as well, and Westport, again County Mayo. In 1842, John Edgar wrote, quote, "My highest and holiest ambition, my fervent wish and prayer for my two sons is that they may faithfully and successfully preach in the Irish language to the Irish people," close quote. So again, you know, maybe we need to think a little bit outside the box in terms of the Irish language. In 1843, John and his friend, the Reverend Kilpatrick of Dublin, organised a tour of the Irish-speaking congregations in those areas. On the 1st of July 1843, they held their first meeting, which was organised in the Presbytery of Cork. Over a period of 17 days, he travelled 700 miles and visited Bandon. Is that County Cork? We've been there, William. Maybe not yesterday or the day before. Carlow, Cove, in other words, Queenstown originally. Fermoy, Killarney, Kilkenny, Lismore, New Ross, Stratford, I'm not sure where that is down south, Tralee, Waterford and Wexford. So Reverend Edgar was staying in Dublin under the care of a Dr. Smiley, staying at his friend's home at Creemorn in Rathgar when he died in 1866. So there's lots and lots of references to Southern Ireland on you know, when you look into his backstory as such. So next two are unmarked graves. So we'll go to them now. So again, just watch your footing here, please. Go on ahead, guys. You're not here to enjoy yourselves. You can see there, Sophie, an early example. Well, we'll be back that way anyway. An early example of a man bag there. So, some amongst us have been known to have a man bag. I'm not looking anywhere in particular. So on this unmarked grave here, just put this this branch here to commemorate a John Percival Hudson, and he was a sub-inspector of factories, and he died aged only 48 in Belfast. And according to the Belfast Mercury of November 1855, not long after he died, John Percival Hudson had entered Cambridge, where he distinguished himself as a general and classical scholar. Upon leaving the college, his reputation induced the Earl Fitzwilliam to offer him the situation of tutor to the then Lord Milton, the apparent heir to the titles and honours of his great house. Upon the decease of that young nobleman, then the Marquis of Sligo offered him a similar position, and he spent some time at Westport House, so in other words, in County Mayo. And Westport House is now a tourist attraction outside the town. 1837, upon the passing of the Factory Act, John Percival Hudson was appointed through the kindness of Lord John Russell, with who and other eminent men he was acquainted, and he held that position as sub-inspector of factories until his death in 1855. So again, interesting backstory, I think. I might be on my own here though, but yet he's buried in an unmarked grave. So we'll go back out into the path, please. And how you know he's buried buried here is that thanks to Jackie's excellent research, then she has got the numbers of the rows. So if you're able to establish then that McBride here is he's number 4 in the row, and then Sterling here is number 7, so you're able then to establish that he's buried here. So this is a guy called Colonel Hampton Blamire Moody, and your dinner's ready. And but you can see that it's quite heavily carved and very ornate. And you can see on the man bag there, it says RE, Royal Engineers. So he served in the Royal Engineers out in China, but also in Belfast just before his death. One of the reasons why the council don't let you in here ordinarily is that, here's an example of why, because about 3 storms ago, so in other words not during Eowyn or Dara, but before that, this used to be up here, and then it crashed into the Charleshurst car park behind it. You can see there's a couple of the bits of the fence are newer than the rest of them, and then they had to push it back in. They must have had a fairly big crane to push it back in here. So obviously if that falls on your head when you're here, there's only going to be one winner. So that's why the council don't let you. In fact, during the recent storms, the cemetery was closed. All the Belfast cemeteries were closed. I'm just going to mention this in passing, just because I can slag Jackie. But this is why we're here. Essentially, this is one of the graves in here that stimulated Jackie's interest in here. And the McKees and the Belshaws, they were very, very wealthy families, and they were stockbrokers. So the very wealthy family then Jackie came along and she spent it all on fast cars, women and booze. Or was that George Best? And Yes, exactly. But it's a very, very fine headstone. So
Bellshaw's Quarry,
honestly, not sure. Where's that?
off the Glenaby Road.
It's
It's
not
now, well, the artworks and all would be,
right.
it's a nature reserve.
It's not a common name, but it's not. You know, I do know of Belshaws as well. There's a guy called
Lurgan.
No, it's Glenaby Road, it's Ballymacash. Ballymacash, depending on what way you want it.
right.
Out at that's from Lady, we go with Lady Wallace directly to up it.
Up in the hills. Aye. The Belshaws say it's not a common name, but there are, you know, there's a guy called Ken Belshaw, for example, who would know he founded Grafton Recruitment. So it's not.
Yeah, that's what it's
It could be related or it couldn't be though.
And that's another Northern Ireland programme was filmed there, Dalgleish. You can watch them.
Oh right.
They use a lot of sets
All around there.
Belfast, yeah.
Oh yes, and outside Ballywalter as well.
All right, okay.
I remember them doing filming down there.
Sometimes there's some houses, they use like stately home type houses, and you're like, oh, where's that?
Yeah. I think you may be right. I think they might have used Ballywalter Park, which is down there for that.
Right. So you do like them local broadcasts? You do?
Just not Hope Street, or No Hope Street as I call it. So again, this is an unmarked grave here, and it's the final resting place of William Duff, and he lived in at 9 Cosgrave Street here in Belfast, and he died the 25th of November 1874 at Aston Quay in the River Liffey, and he drowned whilst intoxicated. He was aged 42. He was the chief engineer of the SS Anglian, and he was married and an eldest son of the late Mr. Kennedy Duff of the Clonard Print Works. So again, nothing to commemorate, to mark his grave of William Duff, who died by drowning whilst intoxicated in 1874. That's the temperance bit of the tour over. So we'll go down over here. Again, just watch your footing. Sophie, that's a set. There's one there, and then there's one there, exactly the same. Yeah, see the way they're the same. This one here, sorry, in memory of Martha Sims, late of Wicklow, who died on 13th of February 1874, aged 80 years. I don't have any other information about her apart from she died at the New Lodge Road. But again, you can see Wicklow mentioned there. So again, just watch your footing here.
This is like Belfast Stansford Highgate Cemetery in London.
Have you been there?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I was only there recently for the first time.
They've got some really old. So all the obelisks. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't see them from the path. So you'll see again a reference to Cork here on the penultimate line of this headstone. And just for Justin, penultimate means one before the last. And it says Martha Sarah Mallet, relic of the late C.L. Mallet, MD, medical doctor of Cork, died 8th January 1905, aged 85 years. And she died at Red Hall at Temple Corran in County Antrim. So Red Hall still exists. It's not far inland from Whitehead. And you can still on occasion visit that as part of the European Heritage Open Day. So in other words, they were quite a wealthy family, but she's commemorated here just as the relic, in other words, the daughter of her father. Then directly opposite then is a very spectacular headstone, which Sophie has found already. And you can see there's a reference to Southern Ireland on that. About the 6th line down, it's the 5th line down, it says Marianne Alworthy, daughter of Major Egan of Clara in Kings County. Anybody cleverer than me know what Kings County is nowadays? That's the right answer. It's also, if somebody asks you, I was in Madden's bar one night and a guy asked me what the most landlocked county in Ireland is, and took me. So it's there's only one county in Ireland that doesn't border on to a county that borders onto the sea. So it's the most landlocked county in Ireland.
Laois?
Close, but no cigar. So Laois used to be called Queen's County. Then after Ireland went independent, then they couldn't have any reference to king or queen. So for example, Dunleary then used to be previously Kingstown. Cove used to be previously being Queenstown. Similarly, Kings County is County Offaly nowadays, and then Queen's County, as Justin says, is Laois. So you can see there that she died on the 26th of March 1873, aged 76 years. She was living at 47 Prospect Terrace in Donegal Street. And she was the widow of the sub-inspector of the RIC, the Royal Irish Constabulary. But you can see the very fine, the looks like a fireman's helmet there above the family crest, so, or the piece in Latin there. So.
I wondered what that was. I didn't do Latin at school.
Well,
It's like,
I did, but I still don't.
What's confidido? Confido?
Something, well, Confido must be Confido.
I think you'll have to speak to Dr. Google for that, because I don't know. All I can just about remember the name of the book, that the Latin textbook, Ecce Romani. That's about it. So next one's up here, please.
Had some money to pay for that.
Now this,
Imagine a bit of drag roll at some horses and
you would have thought so, or
those blocks.
would have to have, yeah. This subtle and understated headstone here is Rowan Hugh Hanna. He was a controversial firebrand Presbyterian minister, and there was we're going to talk about this one, sorry, just round here. Controversial Presbyterian minister, and there was a statue of him at Carlisle Circus, you know, in the middle of the roundabout there. It was blown up in 1972, and but so he's quite a controversial guy. He used to have rallies and down at our equivalent of down at the Customs House, and they were frequently when he preached there, it was frequently followed by riots. So that's the Reverend Hugh Hanna. But this, you can see referenced again to Southern Ireland here, Colga, County Sligo, and Colga's a little townland directly east of Sligo, and it just says in memory of Fanny Fefeliot. So you can see it's maybe the guy had a stutter, but there's two F's in I can't find it. Oh yes, sorry. Fefoliot there. Widow of the late Captain Camberdown Duncan, Commander RN Royal Navy, and daughter of the late Travers home of Colga in County Sligo. And she died on the 13th of June 1871 at 9 Fitzwilliam Street here in Belfast, aged 61. So again, there's a lot of naval references and military references in there as well. Just this is one that Jackie made me aware of as well. You can see Santa has brought Jackie a new torch, and she's delighted about it. But this headstone down here, where Justin is the Lee. There's the Lees couple. It's not on this tour, but I talk about it on the regular tour. And commemorated there is Roberta Lees, and she's commemorated as the widow of Elizabeth Lees, known as Lizzie. She's commemorated as the wife of Robert Lees, RNR, Royal Naval Reserve. But there's a very, very sad story behind those guys. They both died in the same day, And Robert Lees, he was based with the Navy over in England, I think possibly Liverpool, and they just got married about less than 6 months before this incident, and on the night he was to go back to his posting, then neighbours reported hearing two gunshots, and he had shot his new wife, and then turned the gun himself. So the two of them were very devoted to each other, and he just couldn't bear apparently being apart from her. But it's a fairly extreme solution, sadly, that he came up with. So she was buried here. Lizzie Lees was buried here, but Robert, to a reasonable crowd here. Robert Lees, however, he was buried in Coleraine Cemetery, and there was only 3 people at his funeral. His 3 brothers. That was it. So again, behind every headstone, there's an interesting, and in that case, very sad story.
Peter, what address did you say these people were? You said Fitzwilliam Street?
Number 9, yeah, in 1851. Cool.
Now you're going to see how bad I am.
I've never
How can you hear?
That's too big. So it is.
Are you a football fan, either of you? Yeah. So just as we gather, see where this big tree is? The headstone behind it is the final resting place of a man called John Macready McAleary. There's a blue plaque for him up at Solitude because that was where he had founded Cliftonville, Ireland's oldest professional club. But
Soon.
but that's true, William's a Glentoran fan. You got a sympathetic laugh there, William. So he founded Ireland's oldest professional club. He also founded the IFA, with all her problems or crosses to bear. He also then captained Ireland's first professional team, and as they introduced association football to Ireland. So a hugely significant person, and yet I've been looking for his grave for years and only found it relatively recently just by accident. Just for yourself, before we start here, this is the Berkeley grave here, Berkeley to the left here, and Berkeley himself, David Berkeley I think his name was, but his son, his first name I cannot remember, but he's not buried here, but his dad is, and he then became the first secretary stroke manager of Everton, and then he had a bit of a falling out with Everton, and he became the first secretary stroke manager of a team that you might have heard of called Liverpool. So exactly, yeah.
Liverpool supporter.
Welcome back. You need to be out of here by 4:30. You will be, to watch the Newcastle match. But sadly, he was plagued by pains in his head. He shot himself. So it's a bundle of laughs this tour, isn't it? And he lay in an unmarked grave in Anfield Cemetery for a lot of years. But then Everton and Liverpool then paid for to put a headstone on the grave. So that's his dad buried there. And he was in charge of the Malone Reformatory, which is like essentially a Borstal kind of school, not far from here up at Moonstone Street. So this is the Newman grave, and this is one that I've kind of tidied up a little bit as well, cleared it here. But you might be able to see Listowel in County Kerry is mentioned here. It says, in memory of Lizzie, the beloved daughter of Thomas Newman, Listowel, Kerry, who fell asleep in Jesus at Belfast, 19th April 1875, aged 16 years. And Lizzie died at the Royal Hospital in Belfast. So the next one is over here, so we're just a little bit off the path. Again, just watch your footing, please. Just as we're getting here, so we do occasional tours here. It's just one here, sorry. We do occasional tours here with a sickeningly talented local actor, guy called Stephen Beggs, where he plays 12 people who are just who are buried here. And one of the stops that he stops at is this grave. It's a lady called Georgina Moutry Kyle, and she was an artist, but she had quite an unusual will, that she demanded that before she was buried that she would have a vital organ removed from her before she was buried. So there's obviously a fear of being buried alive. So Stephen, in this tour, if you're interested, keep an eye out on the Facebook page just for a repeat. Stephen plays the Kyle family solicitor reading out the will, so it's cool. Hopefully going to put it on again as part of the Eastside Arts Festival in August. So I said, but it'll be promoted on the Facebook page. So then this grave here, it's not great lighting. If only somebody had a torch with them. But you can see that this has fallen out of here, and then this has fallen out of here. And it says on the headstone, as you're about to see, sacred to the memory of Cornelius George O'Brien, Esquire, captain in the 28th North Gloucestershire Regiment of Foot, son of Timothy O'Brien of the city of Limerick, who died at Newtownards, County Down, on the 21st day of December 1867, aged 33 years. Thank you, my glamorous assistant. So he was an ensign. You're bringing down aircraft now. He was an ensign with the 7th Regiment of Foot, who are better known as the Royal Fusiliers. He was then promoted to lieutenant, and in 1863 was serving with the Cape Mounted Riflemen, was promoted to captain, and then in 1864, 28th North Gloucestershire Regiment. So there's a number of military graves here. This guy here was serving with the Regiment of Foot, as it says on this side of the headstone. Again, that's an unusual kind of headstone. Oh, a musket instructor, sorry, yes. But was he serving with the Regiment of Foot?
He was indeed.
Yeah, so he's a musket instructor. So
20-something years old.
So down here for the last one, you'll be delighted to hear your suffering is about to end. He perked up again there, look. So again, just watch your footing until they get onto the path. Shame on you, Justin. So the kind of the tallish grave here, we're going straight on here, but the tallish grave here, see but the kind of, yes, side on exactly, the tan coloured tree to the left of that, that's the Robs. So the Robs then, they lived in the house, it says in the top, called Lisnabrini House, which then turned into Lagan College, Belfast's first integrated college. But they owned Rob's department store, which is a very popular department store and known for its Santa. There is a guy, I've only met him the once, who comes in and puts the bird feeders up. But I've been doing so much so that the tree has grown up, and so now his lap don't reach to because the tree's growing up and taking the thing out of the way.
There's a nice little overlook, lovely shroud, few tassels there. Fancy dancing.
So this is, as an aside, this is the Mays, as in May Street in Belfast, and they were again military. You can see that somebody put this, it wasn't me, the poppy cross here to commemorate them. So they were, he was captain with the Queen's Royal Antrim Rifles, but you can see this very ornate kind of art carving here, etc. And then even more so behind it, then you can see, and these are a number of scenes of battles during the Crimean War. So here, Klondike, etc. And then on this side, Sebastopol. So there's Sebastopol Street at the bottom of the falls. And then you'll see the fine carving here as well. So it's his scabbard and his sword and his belt, etc. So another place where we had a poppy cross on was this grave. This headstone here has fallen. It fell this way. They've both fallen this way. But this, the lady here is called, can't remember her name. Margaret Byers Watt, and it says she died 16th April 1941 in Bangor. Would anybody like to think how she died, apart from Jackie and Justin? Would anybody like to guess how she died in Bangor on the 16th of April 1941? Exactly. Yeah. William's right. What's known as the Belfast Blitz, but it should be more accurately referred to as the German air raids, because there were people died up in Derry, for example, 13 in Derry in Mazine Park, ironically, during the German air raids. There's also people like Margaret Byers Watt, who died in Bangor. Newton Ards Airport was targeted by the Germans. Pardon? Hazeldean Gardens, number 5. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. It's near the golf club. I think the golf club got some damage on there as well. But also there was 15 people killed in Ards when the airport there was deliberately targeted. People think there's a misconception that the Germans thought when they saw lights at the top of a port, they thought it was at the top of a lock. They thought it was Belfast. They thought it was Belfast at the top of Belfast Lock, when it was Newton Ards at the top of Strangford Lock. But that wasn't right. There was a deliberate targeting of Newton Ards Airport.
That's why it got hit instead of.
Where?
Well, one of the reference points that Luftwaffe used was from Paul, Peters, the stars, but they came from the wrong angle.
Right.
That's why the Shankill Road got hit. Instead, was we wanted to come in from the other angle and hit the
docks.
Dock.
So this is the last stop here. You can see this headstone has been erected by the Dunkern congregation, the congregation being the Presbyterian Church. The Dunkern Presbyterian Church has been closed for many years now, and it's now it's on the Antrim Road, and it was the 174 Trust, and now it's the Dunkern Arts Centre. So I can recommend the cafe in there. It's good, and they also have good concerts in there from time to time. But this is from the time when it was a Presbyterian congregation, and you can see at the bottom there the Elizabeth Killen, and she died 25th August 1922. But she was at she died at Urcher Manse in Baileyborough in County Cavan. She was a spinster, and so when at the time of her death. Also commemorated here then is the minister of Dunkern Presbyterian, the Reverend Thomas Young Killen. You can see the second line, Dr. D.D., Doctor of Divinity, and Elizabeth Wilson then, she's commemorated here, and her son was the informant at the time of her death, and he lived in Baileyborough in County Cavan. So that's the end of your suffering. Thanks very much for coming along. If you wouldn't mind, if you've enjoyed it, if you wouldn't mind writing a quick review on TripAdvisor. We're trying to get further up the rankings in TripAdvisor. So we also do tours of Friars Bush, and Friars Bush is currently the second most popular thing to do in Belfast, believe it or not, just behind Titanic Belfast. When I say just behind, a lot behind, but it's still. But also I've got a YouTube channel, And so thanks to Justin's help, then I put out a video a week. So we don't inundate you with videos, and it's free to subscribe and to watch the videos. And today's video is a man called William Connor, the famous artist. And there's Connor's Corner, which is at on the Shankill, but also until relatively recently used to be Connor's Cafe on the Stranmellows Road, more or less opposite Friars Bush, where his blue plaque is. So thanks very much for coming along. And say Jackie and I and William, I would imagine, are going over to the Doyen for a cup of coffee. So you're welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I don't need your sympathy, William.